We're going to start with our intro
Hmm.
and then we're going to get started.
All right.
All right. So, for those who don't know, my name is Monique Macklin. I am the Pink Power CEO in this industry. I work with people who average $50,000 or more annually who are looking to start building their wealth journey, beginning their wealth journey, and showing them how to make, manage, and multiply money.
And I am the prophetic financier, Al Mills, and I help individuals create more passive income, time, and location freedom God's way.
Yes. So, today we want to have a good conversation on our introduction of our seven figure society. The
Hmm.
seven figure society. So, with the seven figure society, this is for our, I'm going to call them elite members in our community who are ready to create wealth, right? They've graduated to this particular program, or they just may already be in a position to go straight into the program where they're now able to buy their freedom, right?
Hmm. Buy their
So
freedom. Yeah, they can. Yeah, yeah. I would say buy, invest in their freedom. Yes.
invest in their freedom, right? Well, buy back your freedom, right?
Yeah, better
Because
yet.
most people, most of us are going to work each and every day. Oh, we've gone through schooling. We've done everything that we were supposed to do. We've gone through, K through 12. We've done college. We may have done some more college, right? And
Right.
then you have been prepared to go and work for somebody. And a lot of people who are at a certain income level are realizing that, I'm at, because we work with people who are like doctors, lawyers, and things of that nature, and they're earning three, four, 500,000 a year, but they still don't have freedom.
This is true.
So
This is true.
we're so we have now been able to put them in a position where they can either match what they are currently toiling for each and every day, going to work every day for, but to do it on a passive level so that they can, again, don't have to worry about going to or working as hard as they always do each and every day. But
Right.
this is really a freedom buyback program.
Absolutely. And again, too, the whole point of in our community, we speak about there's an order of operation. And we
Hmm.
always say seek freedom first and create wealth second. And just to get clarity for those listening, freedom, in terms of our interpretation and our indoctrination in our communities, is that freedom is when you produce enough passive income that is either equal or greater than your current active income. And at that point in time, you have the freedom of making a decision if you still wish to trade your time for a dollar as opposed to
Hmm.
your dollars making dollars for you. And so I think that
Correct.
that's the first thing we're looking to do. But in this seven figure society, that's even a step further than a person who's just pursuing freedom. They
Hmm.
want to boss up, if you will.
Yeah, level up, level up, level up. Oh, sorry. So that's what they're that's what they're looking to do. They're looking to go and graduate to the next level. So let's kind of paint the picture. A lot of times when people come to me, they will go into our premium membership. The premium membership really represents K through 12, right? And the reason we have people start at premium when they're not ready to go into seven figure society, we have them start at premium because they have to unlearn a lot of disinformation and misinformation that they have been fed, which is why they keep finding themselves in a perpetual cycle of not being able to get ahead, right?
Absolutely.
So we start them there. We have a conversation with them so we know where they're at. But during that process, they're in our trainings. They have our back office trainings as well. They're on the live calls. They're able to ask questions. They're able to hear from other members. They're able to partner with us and other members to create income even on that level. So you're not just in a position to learn, you're also in a position to earn or create some cash flow in that area as well, because it's going to start to show you that this is possible. You don't always have to trade your time for dollars each and every day. if you learn the fundamentals of how credit and money actually work.
Absolutely. And we love to have fun in our mentals, right? Our mentals is our mind, our consciousness, and it shouldn't be all serious. You should have fun in your unction when you do these things. And so to kind of go
Mm-hmm.
back to that,
Mm-hmm.
you're right. When you come into that place of freedom, life
Mm-hmm.
changes because you get to have options, right? Everyone has went to school, got a job because they feel that with the wages that one receives from that job can afford them the lifestyle that they want, right? So is it really the money that you're working for, or is it the options that money can buy?
Mm-hmm.
But in order to really transition into freedom, you have to first have a free dome, your mind. You have to free your mind because we've
Mm-hmm.
been programmed to function, act, and think and become a certain way with limitations. So, in order for you to go to that next level, as you mentioned earlier, you have to unlock unlearn what you think you've learned. I don't even want, I'm going to go to eradicating scarcity, where you can
Mm-hmm.
begin to look at life through an abundance lens and not just a survival lens.
Right. Most people are in survival mode, right?
Hmm.
Um, I've seen um, I've seen people who earn high, mid six figure, like, well, let's say low six figures. Let's say 200,000, 250 as a couple. Um, and at the end of paying all their bills each month, they have maybe $1,000 left, or less than that, because they aren't doing it right. There's something wrong. If the two of you combined, or one person earns $250,000, and you barely have a few $100s left at the end of the month after paying everybody. So, and you have not paid yourself in that at all.
Well, there lies the first problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to first learn to pay yourself, and once again, this is not financial, tax, or legal advice. This is purely for educational purposes and entertainment for some. But
Mm-hmm.
we're having a conversation with our family and or friends, and so, we're just sharing our life's experiences, wins, losses, but more so wins. And the first thing you have to do is begin to learn how to circulate your money, your energy, your unit of
Mm-hmm.
exchange, if you will, where it comes back to you. So the number one expense in life, right, is taxation.
It is.
And if you don't know how to, it's not how much you earn, it's how much you retain. And so if you don't start thinking about retention first while paying yourself first, it's going to be hard to break that cycle.
It is. It is. It's going to be really hard. But part of the process that we take you through also, before you can even graduate to the seven figure society, into that program, and start to create and earn at that level, or create at that level, um, is when it comes to your mindset shifting, that whole mindset shift is, a lot of people get money and they don't know, they start continuing to do the same bad money habits that they've always had, right?
Mm, correct.
So people say, I need, they come to us and they say, I need $100,000 in funding. I literally just, maybe 10 minutes before this call, had a lady texting me asking me, how can she help me get, can I help her get 50 to $100,000 in funding? I don't have a chance to, I said, well, I need to see your credit first, right? Um, but at the same time, she sounds like she's in a panic. I don't know what the situation is, but people are always asking for these, large sums of money. But what are you doing with it? Do you have a means to pay it back? And do you have to work time day and night to pay it back yourself? Or are you investing it in a place that's going to pay back that debt for you?
Right,
Right? So people
right.
are always asking, they want God to bless them with more, more, more. But if he can't trust you with 50, he can't trust you with 500,000, right?
But
So
like
that's not going to
anything,
happen.
yeah, but like anything else, on most applications for capitalization or loan, especially in the investment space for business, they always
Hmm.
ask you use of funds. What are you going to use the funds for? And based
Right.
on that, they can determine if you have a true plan or not in reference to that.
Yeah. No, but people hit me up all the time. I get text messages in the middle of the night. Can you Can you help me get? I need $200,000 real fast, right? So it's not that we cannot help you, but we also want to know what is the use of the funds and do you have a plan to pay it back? So a lot of people want to start. They say, I want to be a business owner. Well, do you have a business? Right? And if you don't have a business, then we can show you how to have ownership in a business or businesses, right? So that's part of the seven figure society, how
Mhm.
to get get into business ownership and actually into ownership where you're not doing anything, to be honest,
Passively as a
but you're
board member, passively. Yeah.
you'll be a passive income earning board member, right? But you'll have a conversation maybe quarterly or something like that. But you'll get paid repeatedly from having ownership, right?
Right.
Whereas if you're an executive somewhere, you have to show up somewhere each and every day and
Right.
do the work. Where we're trying to show people how to hustle forward instead of hustling backwards.
Right. And I guess that's in this progression, right? I mean, I know everyone wants to go from 0 to 100 in 8 seconds, right? Or even
Mm-hmm.
less. But the
Mm-hmm.
reality is this: when you think about how many years did it take for you to get into the mindset that you're currently in, you need to equally be aware that it may take some time to unravel what you've put together over the years. It's just not going to happen with the magic wand. There is no magic wand. And anybody who's telling you to
Correct.
become a business person or an entrepreneur is easy and it's just like blink, snapping your finger, they're just selling you books, tapes, and courses. Because to be a successful
Correct.
business owner and have a portfolio of assets requires work, dedication, and a lot of
Yeah.
elevation.
Yeah. And you have to be willing to be committed to your own success. So I know Al always says, do you ask people, do I ask people, are they interested or are they actually committed? Because being interested doesn't mean that you're going to be committed. It just means you have an interest in something and, you're
When
not
it's
going to fully do the
convenient,
work.
when it's convenient and it makes sense for them at that time. But if you're committed, you do whatever it takes by any means
Yeah.
necessary. You can put in that
Yeah.
time, that money, that sacrifice, that effort. You're gonna make it happen. You're gonna
Hmm.
do the things that make you feel uncomfortable. That's how it is.
This is true. This is true.
Not
And so
convenience.
my favorite show is back on Shark Tank, right? So I was watching it on Friday, but they ask the questions all the time. Um, are you 100% in the business, right? Because they can't partner with somebody who's working another job because they're not fully committed. So you want me to fully commit myself, but you're only committing yourself, 20% of the time. That's not how that, in your own success,
That's right.
right? You can't give
You can't partner with
20%.
part time. You can't partner with part time. Doesn't make sense.
Right. The same energy and effort you gave from K through 12 and through college to go and get that job. So that's what you're going to school for. So they are they are they are taking you through a process of a series of years, right? Kindergarten, first grade, 12th grade, all the way to 12. And they say, well, now you can either go ahead and get yourself go to trade school or go get a job. But they have told us that if you just go and get a job without going to the extra steps, you're going to be on the low income earning that on that side of the equation. And so you go ahead and you do 4 more years. You might add an extra 2 or 4 on top of that,
So
and
let's
then
make
you
sure we're
come
clear.
out and you real.
You
Uh-huh.
see an average person who's been following the 40-40-40 plan is that they're going
Mm-hmm.
to commit 16 years of
16 years.
in classroom instruction just to be
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
prepared for a job. I just want to make sure we're clear on what we're saying here. The average, and we're
Yes.
advocates for education. Once again, we're not here taking a stab at education, but we
No.
believe in specialized knowledge is important so that you can turn that knowledge into wisdom. But the
We're
average
putting it
person,
into
into
perspective.
perspective,
Mm-hmm.
16 years of full time matriculate, if you will, to just be able to be in a position to hand over a 1 to 2 page document called a resume to ask someone, can you feed me, please?
Correct.
16 years.
16 years.
And then those who dare to not want to ask for a
More.
paycheck, they
Yeah.
go back and do 2 more years of postgraduate degree, which still
Oh.
most of the time ends up being a paid position. So you're at
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
18 years with postgrad education, 18 years of education, and you still don't know how to hunt for yourself.
Mm.
Someone still
Man,
has
oh
to
man.
feed you at the zoo. The zookeeper still has to feed you.
Right.
And I'm putting that in perspective because the truth is going to piss you off first before it sets you free.
It's
And
so
so I'm
true.
intentionally wording it and posturing it in
Mm-hmm.
that context so that it does piss you off.
Mm-hmm. Because you should be pissed off.
And you're
You should
willing to
be.
sign, just to let you know, I mean, one of my alma maters, NYU right now charges $100,000 per year
Yep.
undergrad. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually more expensive than Harvard. Harvard is 74, NYU is $100,000 a year.
Mm.
So that's $400,000
400,000.
for a 4-year degree from New York University. Now I want you guys to
Mm-mm.
think about that. There are people willing to sign a contract for $400,000
Mm-hmm.
to go to school full-time matriculate to
Mm-hmm.
go get a job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's not
Yeah.
even guaranteed you're going to get a job. They don't have job placement.
No. No. Not at all.
But for someone to say, well, you're still in New York City and you're able to do these things, yada, yada, yada. Understand that, but there's still no surety that you will get a job. Now, of course, the network and being a part of that process is one thing, but when you think about the other part to that, I just invested $400,000. What's the return on the investment?
Right. Because the average person graduates college and earns less than 100,000. Right.
Let's get more specific. Less than 70,000.
Ooh, that's
The
even
average
worse.
college graduate bachelorette is like $64,000 as of right now.
Right. But you just
Before
committed to $400,000 plus interest.
that's an NYU grad, correct? That's
If
not
you're going
postgraduate.
there.
That's I'm just saying Harvard's less than NYU. But my point, the point I was stressing is that when you begin to do the math, it doesn't make sense. It's not
Math ain't
mathing, right?
mathing. Math ain't
Right?
mathing.
And but yet to get in contact with information from individuals who have own and operate a portfolio of different types of businesses, real estate portfolios, and you want access to that infinite intelligence,
Mm,
people looking for bargains. Something that's
right.
going to teach you how to feed yourself and
Right.
be free and free your dome. They want a bargain.
Right. So you want to
I
go
just don't
to you
understand
go
that.
shopping at Nordstrom's when you want to go to
Marshall.
college, but when you want to come to people who can actually help you or show you how to buy back your freedom, you go to Nordstrom Rack, and that's so that becomes the the frustration because it's like how do you do that math isn't mathing either,
No,
right?
it's not. No,
It's
it's
not
not.
mathing either. So we are saying this because we have to take you through a process to unlearn a lot of what you have been indoctrinated into. And that's exactly what it is. You've been indoctrinated into because it's a lot of millionaires and billionaires who have never graduated college, right? Most people who have millions and billions don't have college degrees unless they were just bored and went and got it, but they
They went. No,
didn't
they
need
got it
it.
after. Yeah, after they've earned their success, they went back to get certain skill sets to help
Correct.
them further advance their businesses.
And they can
But
actually
they
afford
didn't.
it.
But they didn't get those skills to work for someone else. They're doing it to
No,
apply to their own business, right? That's
no.
generally the setting. But we have the saying, right? All of the C's and D students in college or dropouts hire the A's and B students to work for them.
This is true. It's true. It's true. Right. Because they say go hire somebody who's smarter than you to do the work that you don't want to do.
Well, when they say smarter, we basically saying those who are seeking a false sense of security
Hmm.
and has demonstrated that they are happy, they've indoctrinated in being a corporate slave, if you will, and they will not question authority. They'll be just humbled enough to just be able to survive. And this is something, again, it sounds horrible, right?
Yeah.
But if you look back at, Henry Ford, we look back and he donated 120 million to the Educational Board of the United States, and they created that whole scenario. They said, we don't need thinkers. We don't want a nation of thinkers. We want a
Correct.
nation of workers. So you
Correct.
have to understand the entire educational system in America is antiquated, and it's training people to have first been farm workers, industrial workers, to now being corporate workers. It was never teaching
Mm.
you to be industrious in your thoughts and becoming a co-creator in who you truly were to be created to do. You are basically just asking someone else. Because we live in the animal kingdom once again. And if you don't know how to hunt and eat what you kill, then
Mm.
you're going to always be the prey.
This is true. This is true. And we want people who are, like you said, free thinkers, people who understand. It's never been a job I've held and where I sat there and was excited to get up and go to work every day, except for mortgages. I made a lot of money, but but
Money,
for
money, money.
but that was the career that actually taught me. It taught me my worth. Honestly, it taught me that I don't have to be in somebody's office 40 and 60 hours a week for some minuscule paycheck, right? It taught me that. It taught me that companies do pay you five figures a month, honestly, right? Gladly,
Here's
because
a
they want you to
question.
come back and do it again next month.
So I'll ask you a question. So in the military,
Hmm.
there who are considered officers or in executive branches of military? What type of officer are they considered? A commissioned officer.
Mm.
And there are
Okay.
non-commissioned officers.
Okay.
So coming back to the mortgage profession, right?
Uh huh.
Most people who are in the mortgage profession are what type of officers? Non-commissioned or commissioned?
Definitely commission.
Okay, and who makes the most money most of the time in the spaces of the workforce? The commission or the
The
non-commissioned?
they're commissioned.
There you go. So when you are on the commission, you're on a mission.
Right. You don't have time to play around with people. You don't come in the office and you don't sit around having, water cooler conversations. You trying to get to the bag.
Oh, you nice. Water cooler. I was gonna say copy machine.
No, they'll stand by the water cooler. You sitting in your cubicle talking from, cubicle to cubicle to your coworkers.
Listen to that. A cubicle.
Yeah, that's what it is.
A little space, what, 3 by 3?
And that's your home for 40 hours a week or more.
Got your little
Right.
picture of the family in the little corner of the desk. Got your little
Mm-hmm.
posters up. When you think
Right.
about that, oh my
And that's
God.
exactly what happens. And you come in, they give you your assignments and you do the work. You do the work that you've been hired to do. And to be honest with you, most of that work did not require 16 years of education. It
No, we
didn't.
didn't, right? And so what we're saying is, if you're tired of being tired of that, you got to make a shift. You got to
Yeah.
do something. You got to dare to do something different.
Yeah.
Begin, and again, we're not here saying having a job is horrible, right? I'm not
Mm-mm.
saying that. I mean, here's the case. They are New York City. I'm just using the Northeast as an example.
Hmm.
They are New York City sanitation workers that make $300,000 a year because nobody wants to clean up the garbage in New York City.
This is true. This is true. And they start at 100,000. So yeah.
So are we? So that's why they say America. They call that New York strong, New York strongest. They pick up all them heavy bins of garbage. But the fact of the
They
matter
fight the
still,
rats.
and the rats and everything else, and the
Right.
stench and everything else. But the point that we were just referencing is that not everyone, those positions are not free and they're not plentiful, right?
Mm.
If you think about that, how often does the chief come out? How many new classes? It's when somebody retires, when somebody gets replaced,
Correct. That's true.
right?
So people get to
And
move up the ranks.
get to move up the ranks, correct. So,
Hmm.
but overall, don't you want to say, life is precious. Our most precious commodity is our time.
It
And
is.
those of you, once you're over 40, let's just speak to 40 plus,
Hmm.
you know, and the average expectancy is 78, for a
Hmm.
40-year-old, you have more time behind you than in front of you.
Correct.
And 38 years left of life, you got to start thinking about how you want to invest your time. Do you still want to be slaving in a cubicle for 7 hours a day, an hour lunch,
Mm.
or a half an hour lunch, and
No.
still can't live life the way that you want to live it? When do you start changing? When do you start creating an exit plan where you can say, let me at least enjoy a few of the years of my life that's remaining?
Yeah. You know,
And that's the average person within decent health. Suppose you're
right.
stressed out now, and chronic stress is one of the number one killers
It's the number
in the
one
melanated
killer.
community.
Hmm.
Money worries.
That's what most people go to work. That's always that's one of the things I always see in my mind is going to work in an office, and I would see the women there because a lot of them were, if they were married, they were married, but they usually handled like the finances on a great level, or if they were single moms or something, or dads would be there in there as well, but they were sitting there focused on their life before they got to work because they're trying to figure out how to how to make it to pay to the next pay period. That's what the majority of people do, and then they may get a couple of things done for the job, but for the most part, they're focused and worried about their life. This is called financial anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So many people live with and it's the people who could still be making a great income, but when your taxes are being eaten up between 32 and 40%, you're being taxed everywhere you go for everything else that you need for yourself and your family. It starts to eat away at your net income because yeah, they say they gave you, we're hiring you at 120,000 a year, and if they're taking 40%
50,
of that,
50,000 of that's gone.
yeah, you're living off
Oh,
70.
right,
But you just
right.
got
So,
approved for a house based on your $120,000, and you're going to, and they say, well, with this salary, you qualify for $500,000, right? But you don't pay your bills on 120,000 a year. You pay your bills on 70. So there's no reason in the world you should be looking at a $500,000 house, maybe a 250, but
well,
that still might be too much.
that's the flex. Everybody want to flex, right? That's what they call flexing. They want to
Cause they're like,
flex it.
oh man, I got approved. And then when you
Approved.
so when you start doing the numbers, the math ain't mathing. The math
Right.
is not mathing. If your mortgage is $3,200 a month and you bring in home 70,000 a year, do you plan to eat? Do you plan to pay your light and gas bill? It's like, do you plan to do anything else other than work to pay bills? So part of our process in our conversations is to really wake you up to understand that there is a better way. So yes, you may have to start in the premium program where we're gradually moving you through the process and getting you prepared to go to the seven figures. But even while you're in premium, you'll be learning. You'll be able to learn how to take down deals or create cash flow in that, so that you can then graduate to the seven figure society. But if you are somebody who is a high income earner and you're saying to yourself, I earn $250,000 a year and I need to figure out a way to equal that or surpass that in passive income, I just don't know how to do it because one of my clients who's a surgeon, she came to me for credit restoration. And she said, I did everything I was told to do. She said most of the physicians here have done that too, but no one ever taught us about financial education.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know how to get beyond where we're at. So seven figure society was created for people like that.
And
So
look at the
that.
pillars to that. I'm sorry. Look at the
Hmm.
pillars to that. So in the seven-figure society and in other communities, there's something we like to call the wealth tripod, right? And in that tripod, there's three legs. The
Hmm.
first leg, you're going to fall into one of these three categories in that tripod. It's either you are a person with money,
Hmm.
but you lack the time and experience to create passive income and location freedom,
Hmm.
or you have time and experience and no money,
Mm-hmm.
or you have experience but no time and
Time.
no money. So you're gonna fall into either one of those. I have money, but I don't have time and experience. I have time and experience, but no money, or and the like. You have to know where you fit into that. But what makes makes the seven figure society a very, very appealing process is that which no matter where you fall in that category, we provide the other two, so it becomes a hand in glove situation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
Right.
have money but you don't have time and expertise, that's why you partner with us in a collaborative scenario. I like to say profit with the profit, if you will. And of course, the Pink Power CEO, you're gonna partner for a purpose. And so we're
Mm-hmm.
able to help you reach your desired goals that's specific to your needs and your wants, right? And
Right.
so that's the power to this. You have to ask yourself that question: where do I stand? I need passive income. I want time and location freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the best path for me?
Right.
And based on where you fit in that category of those three subcategories in the tripod, we can create a plan, a process, and a pathway to help you attain more passive income, more time, and more location freedom.
Right.
So it's not a cookie cutter. I want to be clear. We're not selling courses.
Oh
We're
no.
creating customized plans based on where you want to be. The only thing that's required is you have to be willing to show your commitment level, and your teachability index has to be high, which means you're
Mm-hmm.
willing to do what is necessary in time and in money to get there
Yeah.
in terms of learning. And if you want to be passive, then you have to just have a sufficient enough credit or capital to be able to deploy that into becoming passive income for you.
Right. And if you don't, you just start at the
Premium.
premium level,
Hmm.
right? So
Gotcha.
we'll move you through the process accordingly so that you can then graduate to that level of freedom. So I often like when I do presentations, I always do the retirement planning thing, right? And I know I did it on here before, but a lot of people don't realize that if you're not prepared or preparing for retirement now, I don't care if you're in your if you're 25 or if you're 50, or you should be prepared by 50 something, right? But 25 to say 45, let's say, those are your prime years where you should be positioning yourself to make sure that you're in the financial security side when it comes to your retirement. But most people retire with less than $200,000 in their retirement savings. And that's the main problem. And we saw that as a problem. So, this is a lot of how this was birthed. These programs were birthed to make sure that we help position people so at 75 years old, you're not having to put an application in somewhere to try and make ends meet for $15 to $20 an hour, right? Because I don't think any 75-year-old wants to have to get out their bed at 5 in the morning to go and work for somebody. Some
Especially when
might,
they put in 30 or 40 already.
right,
They did the life sentence already.
right. It's unfair if they want to do it, because some people want to get up and go drive the school bus. It keeps them moving, it keeps them motivated. But a lot of people are doing it because they have to. I
Right.
mean, bones start aching and cracking at 30 something. Can you imagine?
Hmm.
What you trying to get out the bed at 70 something? Man, your bones about to fall apart at that time. Try to get a good stretch in, you'll dislocate all kinds of stuff. But so the way it looks, this is how you tell if you have enough for security for your retirement. And I always use the example of somebody who earns $150,000 because that's what I memorized. So if you are an earner of 150,000, but you use what you earn, if it's 75,000, you use your number. You want to know what you need to have by the time you retire. So at $150,000 a year, you divide that by 0.04, which is the rate of inflation and what financial advisors tell us to use, and that gives you $3.75 million. That's how much you should have in your retirement savings by the time you hit 65.
Now,
Um,
savings or an asset portfolio that's
right.
producing 4% a year. Yeah.
Correct. So that's what you should have in your arsenal at that time. So if you are 45 years old, that means you're 20 years away from turning 65. So you divide 20 years into the 3.75 mil. That means you should be saving $187,500 a year. And you're probably like, well, how do I save 187,500 if my income is 150,000? And you already said they're going to take 50% of that,
It's Mission
right?
Impossible. There's the Mission Impossible.
Correct. So that is where we come in and we show you how to fix that problem so that once again, you get to do more things and take a cruise once a year in your retirement years. So, um, so that's part of this whole process is really the education and the upliftment that we're providing so that people can make start choosing themselves, right? I know a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people saying I want to, we're not promised tomorrow, so I'm just going to live my life how I want to live. But if you do live to 70 something or 80 something or 90 something, I'm quite sure you want to do it in as great a health as you possibly can without having to be a burden on family. And the government is not going to take care of you. So,
They
not the
never
way you
did.
would
They
want to.
never did. Whoever told you it was their responsibility? It's your responsibility
It's
to
your
take care of
right.
you and yours. Not
Correct.
somebody else. See, learn how to hunt.
Yeah.
Eat your
That
spoils.
exactly. So this is really an invitation to people to really start choosing themselves. But most of us were never taught this information. That is the reason why we went down the road of being indoctrinated into a system that created armies of employees,
Hmm.
right? People, it's when I look at things on the people coming home from wars and stuff like that, and there wasn't enough jobs, or the men were at war, so the women now had to go to work um, in order for us to survive, and all of these things. But then there were the people who were like the Rockefellers. They were putting things in place and creating the wealth that they needed to create. They wasn't just saying go to school to do this. No, they was putting things in place. They were hiring the people.
Right.
So,
Now let's put that in process. Let's put that in context, though.
hmm
There will always be a polar opposite. Okay.
always.
And so our goal is to just bring the awareness to everyone who seeks it and
hmm
let them make the choice to be the employer or the employee.
Correct.
Okay? Be the interviewer versus the interviewee.
Correct.
But once you've been brought to the awareness and you make a conscious choice, then that's fine. But what has happened is that it's been kept away from the masses. They didn't know there was an option or a choice.
This is true.
And so all we're doing is just showing that there's still another way that you could be on the other side of that desk doing the interview as opposed to being the interviewee.
This is so true.
And it's not as far away from you as you may think.
No.
It's one person of separation
hmm
because the difference between poverty and wealth is access to the right information. That's the only difference.
That's the only difference.
Because a poor person and a wealthy person are both self-made.
Mm.
A poor person may not want to admit that they're poor by their own doing, just as much as, but more of the wealthy would say they're self-made. The difference, the true statement to that is that both poverty and wealth is self-made and self-imposed.
Ooh, that's deep.
Okay, if you think about it from that perspective,
That's deep.
people always claim when they're wealthy, I'm self-made. But why nobody takes the ownership of remaining poor? The information's out there.
You know what it also is eye opening is that people who fall under that quote unquote middle class, they don't think that they're poor, right? Um, because I know you always saying it's the polar opposite, and I know so you're gonna say that there's no middle class. There is no such thing as middle class,
So what's the
right?
polar opposite to middle class? Okay, let's just do it. I mean, let's just go with the exercise. Okay, if there's a middle class, then what's the polar opposite to middle?
There is none. There is none. But yeah, so
It's
you
either going
either
to be poverty, it's either going to be
oh,
lower class or upper class, but you got to choose which side of the pole you're going to be on. So that would mean middle class would really mean upper class. If you were to say middle then lower is the
yeah,
polar opposite,
yeah,
then that would make middle the high. Impossible.
yeah, exactly. So you
Impossible.
so when people are, because I'll see posts, right, and they'll say, being poor and being broke is two different things. I've seen this quote before. I'm trying to remember what I saw. So they said
Broke is
being
a
poor,
temporary state.
it is a temporary state. It's also a state of mind, but it's so they feel like I work, I paid my bills, I'm good. So I might not have anything left over, but everything I need is in the house, right?
So you're working broke.
Correct.
The working broke and poor.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
working. But I'm working though.
So I'm working. And, I got to wait 2 more weeks for that. I got gas in my tank and I'm going to, hopefully get to that next, in that next pay period. If not, then, they offer now, your job can now give you advances on your paycheck. So when you get your paycheck, it's going to be short $100 or whatever you advanced to yourself, or $500 or whatever.
Ay,
So they're
ay, ay.
allowing that these days as well. Um, but a lot of them just feel like my bills are paid, so I don't fit in that category.
But were you paid?
See, that's it right there. That's it right there. But because I'm always flabbergasted when this information goes out to people, and the response is very minuscule, right? But then people are always trying to figure out how to get to the bag. And getting to the bag is not in the course. Getting to the bag is not somebody on social media trying to get you into their tax MLM program. Um, so
Wow.
I'm just saying that's not getting to the bag.
Shots fired.
It's going to be fired, because I get people hit me up for that stuff all the time, because they think I'm online, I'm marketing, I'm talking about wealth and all of these things. You'll be a good candidate for this. I'm not recruiting people to be in no business. I'm not doing that. So, because that's all it is. When you think about multi-level marketing, if you're not recruiting, you're not making any money. But at the same time, those are temporary fixes. I'm not selling your travel program. I'm not doing that. I want to travel. I might buy from you, but I don't want to be a part of that organization, because that's not going to take me to the level of freedom that I'm looking to go to, right? A couple
Right.
of trips a year on discount is not my idea of freedom. So,
And is it really a discount is another thing. If you
well,
could get
that, right.
do the math on
Exactly.
that. We can show you how to build credit profile and travel for free with points and miles,
Mm-hmm.
hotel rewards. See, it's a different way of doing this.
Correct. So it's shots fired, but it's reality, because how many people have gone from MLM to MLM to MLM while they're working their job? They never left their job though. So if these MLMs are so prosperous and profitable, then why you didn't leave your job yet?
No,
I
they
haven't.
could be, right? They could be,
They
but you have
could
to
be.
understand market segmentation
They
and
could be.
opportunity. But if you don't even know how to evaluate that, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Correct. Correct. And so the freedom, it comes from, the freedom that we're talking about is on a different level. And we're not trying to get you to riches, we're trying to get you to wealth. Right? So that's the other thing. So people will say I'm rich, rich bitch, right? So
That's been a Atlanta Housewives, right?
yeah, that's Nene Leaks. I'm rich, bitch.
Oh,
But um they have to stay in front of people all the time. It's like all these people who have high numbers on social media. The moment they decide to fall back a little bit, they're going to lose their following. So you always have to be on
the
and performing
attention,
for
yeah, the
people.
attention. They're afraid to lose it, become irrelevant. Yeah.
Yeah. You always have to be on and performing for people. Right? So I come on, we do this for maybe an hour, hour and a half, really to awaken and enlighten you. You don't see us on screen, because faith comes by hearing, right? You don't need to see us to hear what we have to say. But faith really comes by hearing. So if you start to hear the message more often, it's like back in the day, people just listen to the radio. I told you, Wendy Williams. I couldn't wait to get in my car when I lived in New York and jump on the LIE to listen to Wendy at 5 o'clock on Kiss FM or WBLS. That was her time slot.
And I'm sure you still listen to Strawberry Letters.
And
I'm
I
sure
still
you
listen
do.
to Strawberry Letter at 8:02 a.m. every day. I'm not watching it on TV or my computer. I'm listening, right? Because
Hmm.
we tuned in when the Quiet Storm back in the day on the radio, and we would listen to, the host with that deep voice. I forget his name.
Frankie Crocker?
Frankie Crocker and all of
Frankie
them. We
Crocker,
listened.
WBLS.
Right now, everybody wants to be entertained. Entertainment is not going to make you prosperous.
That's that old Fred Astaire. Let me entertain you. Fred
Right.
Astaire.
Right.
Hmm.
Listen, put it because I will put things in my ear, my earbuds in, and I will walk around, I'll clean, but I am absorbing the information from people that are teaching and educating and appealing to a higher frequency in my mind. I'll go on there for I was gonna say shits and for kicks and giggles, but I'll go I'll go online and for the little things that make me laugh or whatever, and the political stuff because that's what I'm into. But when I'm trying to elevate my mind, I plug it in. I don't need to watch them teach me anything. I need to hear it, and sometimes I watch it again. I need to hear it again. So we're here really appealing to people who want to live and operate on a higher level. I think, Al, you told me that most millionaires do that too. They listen to podcasts, right?
Yeah, the average person who listens to a podcast, his income is north of 150 on average. And
Hmm.
so busy professionals or business people on a whole, they don't have time to sit and watch a video because that requires focus and attention,
Correct.
but they will play a podcast in the background when they're doing something else or working out. And
Hmm.
that's so much more better time spent than having to see video and audio.
Right. And if you're
See, for
driving,
instance,
you
right
can
here,
listen to us, right?
correct. And so that's where it's easier to consume, right? That's
Yeah.
why we're in a digital atrophy right now. There's too much data, video data that's overwhelming people that they don't, it's too much to consume and it's becoming overwhelming at
It's
this point.
overwhelming.
It's
It's
overwhelming.
overwhelming. Every time you get online, it's somebody shouting at you, right? Every time you get on here, somebody's shouting at you about, be it politics or their product. That's what we're getting a lot of these days. So it becomes a lot, and sometimes you need to fall back, digress a little bit, and start to just get some information, some motivation, something else that's going to calm you, but also like the edu- so for when it comes to wealth building, right? We want to listen to people who are there, right? We don't listen to people who are not there and trying to just, they're just showing us cars and airplanes and stuff like that. That could have been rented. We don't know, right? So a lot of people get enticed by the things, the shiny things. But for the most, a lot of people rent that stuff. If you remember MTV Cribs, most of those entertainers didn't even live in those houses, but we didn't know that from back then, right? We thought that they were
Yeah,
showing us their houses. They
that
were
is true.
showing us stuff that they rented. It was a facade. And that's what a lot of people on social media have come to do. They have come to give us, paint this picture of this life and lifestyle that they do not have. Because people who have true wealth are not walking around showing you everything.
Or why would a wealthy person need to impress someone who has less than them?
Right.
Because if they're dealing with people on their level, your mansion is not going to impress a person who already has a mansion. Think this through.
That's so true. It's so true.
This what it is.
And then they
It's just
also and we've also, I mean, this is something I learned even recently through Al, is so we want you to have ownership, right? But sometimes you don't need to have a big old house to take advantage of those benefits, like the tax benefits and all of those things, right? So I would always get confused when I watch shows like Million Dollar Listing, and as opposed to them buying the house, they would say I would rent the house instead for 50,000 a month, and I'd be like, what in the world?
75,000 a month. See, but now you're hitting, that's a whole different realm because people, high net worth individuals, would prefer to rent the luxury and take the rest of that money they would have to pay to purchase it and
Mm-hmm.
invest it again.
Yeah.
And let's kind of break it down to a real smaller scale. You
Mm-hmm.
wanted to buy $1 million property for
Right.
yourself personally, $1 million mansion. Let's just use it as $1 million, and
Mm-hmm.
it's in Texas because Texas, $1 million, you can get a very big house, elaborate house for this example, right?
Yes.
And but it would take you 200,000 down, 20% down to buy it because it's a jumbo loan.
Right.
So you putting down pretty much 200,000, and you're borrowing 800,000.
Right.
But then you have closing costs as well, another 3 to 6%, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another 30,000. So you're all in 230,000.
Mm-hmm.
But you could rent that same $1 million house for 10 G's a month,
Right.
right? And
120,000 a year.
first and last, and maybe a broker fee, maybe. So you're talking
Right.
maybe 30,000. How much
Right.
are you saving?
A lot.
$190,000. And I take that 190,000 and invest it, and let's just say you invested into real estate for 10 at a 10 cap, that 190,000 is still netting you. You can buy a $1.9 million, you can buy almost a $2 million piece of real estate for that and have
Mm.
a cap rate of 10%. You make it 200 G's.
That pays for your rental.
And there's money left
Your
over.
money left over.
So now, mind
And
you,
guess
you
what?
still own the house. You still have the luxury of the house, the pool, the scenery, the neighborhood, the zip code, but you're living for free.
Correct.
But see, a poor person doesn't see that. Oh, well, you don't own it. You rented it.
Yep. Yep. That's the conversation that you'll hear. But the other thing is that you're not renting anything. Your business is, right? Or your trust or something like that. You set yourself up in a different way, the proper way. And most people we see online talking
Right.
about, we'll set you up with a trust and all this stuff. They don't even do the trust properly. They're not even teaching
That
people how to do that
again,
properly.
trust the private wealth. No, been utilizing trust for many years, and
Hmm.
it's not something that's publicized.
Correct.
And there's no cookie cutter trust. And I love this, right? I love to hear they come up with all these creative terms for trust, constitutional trust.
You muted out.
Just a contract. It's just a properly structured contract. You
Hmm.
have to know which jurisdiction you're in. Are you in a free space or are you in a statutory space, a non-statutory or statutory space? And
Hmm.
based on what you're trying to accomplish, you create the indentures contract to support your goals and missions. This
Yeah.
is very simple. But
Yeah.
once again, those are things that we talk about
In the
in
society.
our society, in the communities, based on where you are. There's some folks right now that they don't even need a trust because they don't have anything to entrust.
That's true too.
They can't even fund the trust because they need funding. Stop
Correct.
it. You
Correct.
just have a stack of papers. Freedom is not in the paperwork.
Mm-mm.
It's in the statement, your state of your men. Don't get me started. Don't get me started today. Take it in. Oh, USA. USA.
Woosah. But yes,
Ooh.
oh, wow. That is funny. But this is just an example of people telling us to do things the wrong way, right? Everybody, and I often have said, and Alice said that a single family home is not an asset. It's not an asset if you have to go to work each and every day to pay your mortgage. It's
For 40
not for
years, for
right
30 years,
30
40
and
years
40
on the job.
years.
And no way.
It's not
No
an
way.
asset. Assets pay for themselves, and liabilities you pay for, right? That car you want to drive for $800 a month. I know people who have two people in a household, they're paying $1,200 each for a car note. I look at credit reports all day long. So, you know,
You saying, so wait a minute, people paying 12, well, people are paying for themselves $1,200 a month for a vehicle.
BMWs. Yep, yep. Husband and wife matching BMWs.
I
Uh
have
huh.
BMWs, but I don't pay for them.
Right. You're right. Right. No, but these people are paying for them. So, and I see this a lot, right? Because they want to give off the facade that we've made it, right? We the auntie and uncle that did it.
I'm the
So,
original. I'm the original BMW, by the way.
I know that's right.
I'm the black man wealthy. See, I'm the original.
Exactly. So that's that. But that's the thing. A lot of people don't understand that there are better pathways to that promise, that thing that you're trying to get to, right? You have to
Right.
figure out how to get your lifestyle to pay for the thing, your assets to pay for your lifestyle. And there's so many different ways that we can do it. There's real estate, there's tangible real assets, right? Like real estate and things of that nature. There's paper assets like notes, and then there's businesses as well.
Correct.
So those are the ways that we focus on the most, and we show you how it's done. But again, when we have the conversation, when you have a strategy session with one of us, that is where we then determine the best course of action for you to take, right? So we don't just start you in one place and leave you to figure it out from there. No, when you come alongside of us, when you lock arms with us, we are taking you on the journey. As long as you want to move on this course of not having to trade your time for dollars for the rest of your life, right?
Okay.
Or retiring in poverty and having to go back to work. Because I hear people say, I retired already, but I need to go back and get a job. So that happens a lot to people. It happens a lot because they don't know when you retire, they tax you too. Like I have a relative who should have retired by now, but she's trying to figure out the best thing to do when she does retire. Do I move to South Carolina so I don't have to pay the taxes?
Oh boy.
Because they're going to, because she said I think it was a like 30% or something, because she works for the government, um, that they're going to take. But I think in South Carolina or something like that, when you live there, it's different. But so this is the conundrum that's happening. But you're staying on the job an extra 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 years or whatever to try and figure out how to best retire so you don't get jacked in your retirement money.
Okay, Mo, you always tell me about bringing it down. Let the conundrum,
Conundrum, conundrum,
conundrum and conundrum. Do people really know what that means?
really.
Tone it
It's a
down. Bring it
mine.
down. Bring it down. I'm only teasing. He always tells me, "Oh, you speaking that level at language, you gotta tone it down."
It's the indoctrinated mind fluck we've all been a part of, unfortunately.
Okay.
And it keeps people shackled longer than they need to. I mean, I don't know. For in my head, if you've done your bid, your 30 plus years at a job, you should be able to go, I'm done, right? Not have to go 35, not have I know people who worked on their jobs for 40 years and something. That's a long time.
Well, so what they're really saying is you're gonna do your life bid, and then you're gonna come out and have lifetime supervision.
Ooh, so you on probation forever.
5 years probation. 30 years plus 5 years probation.
Ooh,
30 years plus 10 years probation. That's what it looks like when you come out and still got to go to work after retiring.
man, man, oh man. Yeah, and that's I've seen that happen so many times. I've listened to the stories online about people who thought that the way the system they were told to do it, go to work, put your money in a 401k. Um, maybe
Whew.
I guess if you have a pension, not everybody gets a pension anymore, right? So that's not everyone's reality. So you think if your 401k, your little 2% in the 401k is going to protect you, it's not, right? It's not. So if you have $200,000 in a 401k at 2%, it's going to take 36 years for that money to even turn into 400,000. And even at $400,000, that's not enough to retire, because if you earn 100,000, you have 4 years before you're broken back to work. And if you retired at 65, I'm sure at 69, that is not part of your plan.
And Social Security is not very social.
No.
We would
So you
fall
have to
past that.
start looking at it in a different scope, right? If the math isn't mathing, and you have been for the past 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, just you relying on your 3 to 5% raise while everything is going up to 8%, you know, you technically higher. Your rent goes up if you're in the house and you have a mortgage. Your taxes and insurance go up, right? Your PI might stay the same, but your TI does not. Your taxes and insurance, those things go up, and
It'll
if
always go up.
it's always
Yep.
going to go up. If your income is not keeping up with that, then you're going to be in a financial chokehold for a very long time or forever. And at some point, you want to breathe. At some point, you want to say, "I just want to breathe." And if you don't start saying, I'm willing to sacrifice the next 2 3 years to do what I need to do, because if you can give 16 plus years to get to the job, and you can't give yourself 3 to 5 years to get to freedom, then that's a problem.
Yep.
That's the real problem,
Absolutely.
because we're not offering you a job. We're offering you a lifestyle that can actually be something that you can pass on to your heirs when you are no longer on this earth.
And let's be totally true. I believe in truth and transparency, right? Everybody always tells you the upside, but well, what's in it for us? I'm gonna be very plain talk, bad manners, if you
Mm-hmm.
will.
Yeah.
We're offering people opportunity to prosper with us. We've been there, done that, doing it, and we're offering you the opportunity to take that journey with us. So it's a win-win situation. We're invested in your success because we're one. We're going to share companies together, and we're going to grow. That's
Right.
that's that's the guarantee that we could back, is that we're vested. We'll be vested interest. We're not selling memberships and courses and tapes. We're here offering opportunities, and we're going to exchange our years of experience and expertise and relationship capital to do that.
Mm-hmm. The same thing that the Shark Tank people do, right?
Absolutely.
It's the
So
same thing. It's no different.
absolutely. So we can't be that. We can't be everything to everyone.
No.
That's a formula for failure.
Mm-hmm.
But for those who are truly serious and tired of being tired, and they want to eradicate all those things that give them shame, guilt, and disgust, then I'm gonna just say this is like, this is like that altar call moment. We can listen to these broadcasts until whenever,
Mm-hmm.
but not until you make the first step for that million miles. You're gonna still be in the same position.
Yeah. We're
So
about
you
to
gotta take action.
we're about to go into 2025. What did you do for yourself in 2024? When did you choose yourself at any point in 2024? Did you say, I have positioned myself to make sure that in the next 3 to 5 years, this won't be my reality, right?
Exactly.
So that's what it's really all about. And even it was having a conversation with Al the other day, and in pointing out the fact that the sacrifices I made to even get to the point that I'm at, from when my daughter was 7 years old, and I just packed up and left New York. I
You
didn't
changed
see
your
that as a
proximity. Exactly.
right.
You changed your proximity. You had to find a better position to get your mind and your opportunities right.
I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I didn't want to keep doing that. Right?
That's all that
I didn't,
matters.
and that's it. So I figured I have to come down here and figure out how I'm going to make this pathway for my child to have a good life. And she has created her own family. She's 35 now. My daughter's created her own life and her own lifestyle. I mean, they do what they do. They own a property now. They have their children. When my parents couldn't take us on vacation, these kids go on vacation.
You said your little grandbaby was like, I want to go on a boat.
She was like, "Oh, I'm going on a boat. I'm going
You're like, in a boat?
on." She,
You're like,
the middle one, she's always saying,
cruising.
she'll come downstairs. She's like, "Oh, I need a vacation." I'm like, really? I need to be on somebody's plane. This is so these are like, she'll be 10 next month, but this is her when she was like 6 and 7. It's time I need to be on the beach. Where are we going on vacation? So this is a lifestyle that they have been able to afford their children because of decisions that their parents made, my daughter and my son-in-law, that we made to make sure that they're in a position to now put them to do these things. Because I
Hmm.
don't know what her life or lifestyle would have been had I stayed in New York. I don't know. I don't know. It could have been grander. I don't know. But I just knew that in the situation that I was in as a single mom, I had to make an executive decision for my family, which was just she and I at the time. So, but I was willing to sacrifice it, regardless of how I did it. I wanted to make sure I did it, and not have to figure it out later on.
Absolutely. Well,
So,
it's been exciting as always.
always, always.
Always
So,
exciting topics.
so this is really about people just saying to themselves that they're ready to make a change for the better. And Al and I are here to help guide you along the way. Um, for those who want to schedule a strategy session, you can simply go to pinkpowerceo.com or click the link in my bio if you're on TikTok, and just click the link on my bio and it will take you to my calendar as well. And you're able to schedule a strategy session so we can see where you're at, have an adult conversation, and then kind of put down exactly what needs to take place, that plan, that process, and that pathway to success for you specifically, because your goal is not like anyone else's. So we have to figure out what is going to work for you. All right.
That's it. Absolutely. That's it. That's the call right there. And by
That's the
the way,
call.
you got it right once again.
You see me pausing, like plan, process.
Approach, pathway,
I like
pathway.
it the other way, but
No, pathway is the actual methodology that you're
I
going to
know
use. It has to be
it just
last.
sounds better
It sounds
the other
better.
way.
Okay, I got you. It rolls off the tongue better.
It does. With all these P's, Pink Power CEO, plan, process, pathways, prosperity. Oh, that's another
Profit
one
with
I
the
use.
profit. Yeah, look, there's a lot of
Yeah,
P's
see
going
that
on.
exactly. I also have one. I say I'm the plug to prosperity. All those
Woo-wee.
things.
All those P's. Jesus.
All those things.
Oh, yeah. Yay. All
Okay.
right.
So I hope everyone has enjoyed this conversation. As always, y'all. But thank you for jumping in. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. And yeah, again, click the link in the bio or simply go to pinkpowerceo.com and click on schedule appointment. And we will talk to you all very soon. Have a blessed and prosperous Monday.
Absolutely. Take care.
You too.